Hello sailors and welcome to Sail Smart Skills, where we take a little bit more of an in-depth look into some of the sailing manoeuvres that you're going to find around stage 3 and stage 4. Now we're going to look at Man Overboard, which is what you do when someone falls out of your boat. Obviously, a Man Overboard drill is if someone falls out of our boat, but it might also be an important piece of equipment, maybe a dry bag or your spare clothes or something like that you're going to need to pick up. Now, with all seamanship manoeuvres, you can normally split them up into 4 sections. And these are plan, approach, manoeuvre, and escape. So plan, we need a plan. We need to know what we're going to do before we get there. Approach, now that's how we're going to get to the point of doing the thing. How do we get to that point in the best way possible? Manoeuvre means doing the thing. You might get there and have to do something. That's the point to do it. And finally, escape. Now, we always need an escape plan. A bit like James Bond, we need to know if it goes wrong or not exactly the way we want it to, how do we turn around and have another go? Plan, approach, manoeuvre, and escape. Next, we're going to have a little look at spill and fill. Now, this is the name of a technique that we use all the time in seamanship manoeuvres. It's where we pull our sail in and let our sail out to control our speed so that we can approach things steadily and safely. Spill and fill. Now, I've got my boat and I've got the whiteboard back. So, if we've got the wind coming from the top of the board and we want to get to this point here, for this example, we're not going to have tide. I want to get to that point. Now, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to approach on a close reach. Now, that's not right up against the wind and it's not sideways, it's in the middle. A bit like that. Now, on this point of sail, I can sail upwind, and if I need to go faster, I can pull in my sail a little bit. And if I need to go slower, I can let my sail out all the way so that it flaps, but I'm still pointing at where I want to go. Now, using this, spilling of the sails by letting it flap and filling of the sails by pulling them in, I can control my speed and approach whatever that thing is at the speed that I want to, which is probably going to be slow and controlled. Top tip on this technique is never stop. Go as slow as you can. As soon as you stop, you might find you start to slip sideways. And that way, we might actually miss what we're going for. As I mentioned, if someone or something falls out of your boat and you need to get it back, this is how you do that. This little orange dot, that's going to represent our Man Overboard. And we're going to have red boats as our boats. Now, for Man Overboard drill, you always concentrate on the wind. And for us, it's coming from the top of the board and blowing downwards. For tide, whether you're in a tide location or not, don't worry about it. And that's because the Man Overboard is floating in the tide, so are you. Don't panic. So, once our person has fallen out of the boat, we're going to need to sail away on a beam reach course. Beam reach is sideways to the wind. Now, this might seem a little bit odd that we're sailing away from the person we're trying to help, and the person in the water might think you're crazy, but don't panic. Just shout back to them that you're coming to get them. You just need to do a bit of a circle. We're going to sail away, and we're going to sail away for roughly 10 boat lengths. Why 10? Because we've got 10 fingers and it's easy to remember, but the key thing with that number is it's a rough number. 10 boat lengths. If it's a really windy day, you probably want to make it a little bit longer. If it's not very windy and you're not moving very fast, make it a bit shorter, but roughly 10. Once you've sailed away, everything's calmed down. Perhaps if we're in a double-handed boat, we've let the jib off so that it's flapping. It's one less thing for us to think about. We're going to turn around, and we're going to do that with a big tack like this. There we go, heading up. There's the tack, and we're going to bear away, and we're going to go in this direction. Now, some of you keen sailors would have spotted that it would have been much quicker to do a jibe, and you're right. However, the reason we tack in this situation is for safety. By and large, most people are better at tacking than jibing, and you're less likely to capsize. Obviously, if you capsize now, we're going to be in even more trouble. So do a big tack for safety. Once we've turned round and we're now going downwind, we're going to head on a broad reach. Now this isn't straight downwind, it's at a bit of an angle, and we're going to go a little bit faster, like this. Once we've sailed away an appropriate amount, we're going to head up and sail towards our Man Overboard on a close reach. Now you remember a close reach from earlier because that's where we spill and fill. So a close reach will look like this. And we've headed up. And now we're heading back towards the Man Overboard. And it's at this point that we're going to want to start spilling and filling, sheet in, sheet out, control your speed, but don't stop until you get to the Man Overboard. We're going to want to sail all the way up until the Man Overboard is right next to our windward shroud. Windward means closer to the wind, and shroud is the wires on the side that hold up the mast. Now, if you're sailing in a single-handed boat, roughly around the mast will be fine. We get right up until about this point here, and it's at that point that we're probably going to want to be stopped. And the way to stop, you've got it, is to let your sails out. Let your sails out so they're flapping. You'll notice that they're flapping away from the person in the water, and at that point, you can help them back into the boat. With some modern boats, it can be easier to get back in over the back of the boat, which we technically call the transom. Sometimes these are lower in the water and you don't have to climb as high. So quickly before we review this, here's my top tip. You'll find that this part here, when do we head up, is actually a really tricky decision. So if you've got a jib and it's flapping, you might find that the jib, as it's flapping in the wind, will point at the Man Overboard. And when that happens, that would be the point to turn. If you don't have a jib, or maybe you're unsure, maybe we're practicing, which is brilliant, you can just head up and see if your sail will flap. So we head up, we have a go. Maybe our sail won't flap totally, but that's okay. We bear away again, and we try again. Can our sail flap totally? If it can, then that's a good place to be. Unfortunately, it might be that you've gone too far. And when you head up, you pull your sail in all the way, it's still flapping, and we're in the no-go zone. At that point, don't panic, just start again. Sail up to the Man Overboard and sail away on your beam reach again. So let's remind ourselves of the key points again. We start with a beam reach, we do a tack, we come down on a broad reach, we head up on a close reach, and we pick the person up on the windward shroud. Right, excellent job, sailors. Fantastic work. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Good job, sailors.